A while back in a previous audio, I think I touched on the fact that I was going to mention some of the things that was necessary in order for you to deal with public services, like social services and, government agencies that may play a role in your survival. They may provide monetary funds for you. They may provide shelter. They may provide anything that have to do with your basics. And you have to deal with caseworkers and managers and officers. These are just a few tips to give you in order to deal with them on a regular basis so you won't have to worry about losing your benefits, because some people actually need these benefits in order to live. Now, when you're dealing with public entities and social services, first thing that you do not need to do, and I can speak this from experience from working with a lot of women who had to deal with social services and caseworkers, do not assume that you are your caseworker's only client. Don't get that attitude. I'm telling you. I have dealt with people who had to deal with social services in regards to, child care and food assistance and things like that. I've dealt with people who had cases, and I also have friends in the business who are case workers. And the number one complaint that they have in regards to dealing with clients is that some of the clients have attitudes that they are the only client that they have. People, you have to understand this is a government agency. And I know that your situation might be dire. And I know your situation might be urgent. But the truth of the matter is, just because you are assigned a case worker, you are not their only client. So when you take it upon yourself and get all in your head and get all in your feelings about something, and you want to call them on the phone because you've got a complaint about something, or you're anxious or you're worried, first of all, don't pick up the phone until you can pull your emotions together. Don't pick up the phone until you can get out of your head, get out of your emotions, and be prepared to talk professionally about your situation. You have to think about the fact that you need those services in order to live, and you don't need to have an irrational thought or your big mouth to mess up your basics. And that's what a lot of you are doing. You'll turn around and you'll call your caseworker, and the minute the answering machine comes on and they can't come to the phone, all of a sudden you're all in your head, you're fussing and you're carrying on. Some of y'all hang up the phone and fuss, but some of you actually leave messages, nasty messages to these people, when the truth is you're not their only client. Accept the fact that there may be 30 or 40 or 50 or 100. There may be other people besides you that they have to do cases for. So if you contact them and they're not available, don't be childish, don't be unprofessional. Accept the fact that they do have your case and it's what's going on. Now, let me give you a disclaimer on this. I am well aware of the fact, regardless of where you live in these 50 states, that the systems back up. No doubt. I'm not ignoring that. But there's a way for you to handle things and to deal with situations in a calm and professional way, in an adult way. Because the truth is, if you lose your housing and you have no money, where are you going to go? If you lose your food stamps and you don't have a job, how are you going to eat? If you lose your WIC or any other type of assistance for your children, how are you going to be able to buy Pampers and milk? How are you going to be able to buy clothing? If this is your source of income, you need to do everything that is required to make sure that you are an ideal client for your caseworkers. And that's all I'm going to say about that point. So on to the next one. Follow documentation rules to the letter. I can't emphasize this enough, because I've heard so many stories in the past from dealing with people, with agencies that I've worked with, agencies and companies I've worked with, as well as people I've seen in my own family in the past, trying to commit fraud by not providing documentation. It may work for a little while, but I'm going to tell you it's going to catch up with you, because the truth is, if you have a Social Security number and you are receiving any type of government assistance, these computer systems they're going to start talking to each other about you. They're going to start talking to each other about you. And if it's a situation you're receiving some type of assistance, and every 3 to 6 months or 9 months, depending on what state you live in, you're required to recertify or reapply and provide documentation, read what is required and provide all of the documentation that is necessary so you can be reconsidered right away. Because I can tell you right now, there are a lot of agencies that have stacks of incomplete applications, and all they're doing is sitting in a computer file somewhere not being processed because they don't have the proper supports. Take your time and read it. I know I used to have to be able to depend on certain programs, and when they send you those certification letters, recertification letters, those envelopes are thick. You're talking about anywhere from 5 to 10 pages depending, but you got to read everything. If you need someone to help you out, get someone to help you. You have to understand this is a form of assistance so you can live. This is nothing to play with. And a lot of people, unfortunately, I have seen where they have lost their letters or didn't enclose information, and they're looking for this assistance the following month, and they're getting zip, zero, nada, bupkis. They get zero. And then the first thing they'll do is get in their feelings and want to call and scream and holler at someone, or go down to the agency and call and scream and holler at someone, sit there half the day, and then when they finally get called toward the back, it's because they didn't send the documentation in. It's not even anybody in that building's fault. It's theirs, because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So if there's any required paperwork, make sure you get that paperwork over to them as soon as possible. Incomplete applications, they're not going to pay you your benefits if your applications are not complete. If you have an appointment to come in, figure it out. Plenty of times I have gone with people over to social services to get appointments done, and it's not even an issue of babysitting. I've seen women bring the whole crew with them. I've seen women bring the children with them to the agency. They're not going to run around and worry about trying to get a babysitter when they know they've got this appointment. They understand the importance of it, and they're like, screw it, I don't have a babysitter, and they bundle those kids up and take them down there. Coming in on Ubers and Lyfts and buses. So, transportation is not an issue. Having a babysitter is not an issue. If you got an appointment, make your appointment and make sure that they have all the documentation they need. And if you're not sure if they've received it, bring that paperwork with you. Always make copies of whatever documentation you sent to them, so when you come to your appointment, in case they're missing something for whatever reason, you've got backup. You have to let them know that you're being proactive, and you have to let them know that you take this seriously. I cannot emphasize this. And the last thing, and I touched on this in the previous point, avoid fraud. Just avoid it. I've heard many stories. I've heard people, oh, I'm going to keep it going because I'm going to use my grandmother's address. Grandmother's already receiving benefits now. Grandmother's already receiving benefits, and grandmother's in a household of one. Okay? Now listen to me closely. Grandmother's in a house of one person living in a lower income house. She's in the system as one person living in that house receiving benefits. And here your little silly behind going to turn around and have your benefits sent over to your grandmother's house. So what does that tell the people who are giving her benefits? Oh, somebody's living with you. You see how this goes? Do you see how this goes? Now, all of a sudden, you got two people living in the house, and she's saying that it's one. Then all of a sudden, grandma's benefit starts to get reduced, or you don't get any benefits at all. And don't get me wrong, it might take a while, because I told you before, The backlog on the cases is real. I understand that. But see, the thing is when you try to get around the system, you always wind up losing whatever it is that you were getting at the most inopportune time. It's usually the worst time in the world that you could lose your benefits. And you wind up doing it because you were trying to be slick. There is no way in the world you're going to turn around and do something wrong and expect to prosper from it. It's just not going to happen. So this fraud business stop. Another case in point. Wife and husband estranged. Never got a divorce, but they're estranged. Okay? One of the partners gets a little older, is unable to work anymore. They're receiving a little bit of disability or whatever due to their illness, but it's not enough for them to really live the way they want to live. So them and the estranged husband or wife decide to cook up this scheme and say, oh, we're still married and I'm still living with you and blah, 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 so they can get a few extra dollars a month on their Social Security. Because they know they would get a little bit more money a month if they were married as opposed to being single. That's why they don't want to get divorced. But see, they haven't lived with each other so long. And in certain states, if you haven't lived with your partner for a certain period of time, they do not consider you as legally married. Or if you're trying to apply for benefits, they do not consider you as legally married. They consider you as separated. And therefore, you're not going to be eligible for marriage benefits. You guys see where I'm going with this? There's a lot of information that you need to know. There's a lot of information that you need to know. So this goes on for a while so that person can, so they could both get a little extra 30, 50, whatever, $100 a month or whatever, saying that they're married over a period of time. Then all of a sudden, one of them gets so ill to the point where they can't take care of each other and they got to go into assisted living and everything else, and they're trying to use this assistance money, whatever little bit they did save, to try to get them in there, and there's no money left. Or they didn't do the certification, or whoever it is that they're getting the assistance from, they found out that two of them aren't together anymore, and just when they need that extra money, the benefits either get cut off, they're under fraud investigation, or they're drastically reduced, and there's nothing they can do about it. It's not worth it, people. It's not worth it. We live in a world of technology, and if you got a Social Security number, you're in somebody's database whether you like it or not. That's just the way things are. And if you're getting any type of government assistance, the best thing for you to do is be as honest as possible, provide valid supports when necessary, and make your appointments so you can keep this thing going so you can take care of yourself. Just saying.